put your hand.
You're on.
Here you go.
All right, thank you. Are we on here? Okay, thanks. Mr. Hyde, will you please provide us with the invocation?
Father, we thank you for this day and your many blessings to us, and as we begin discussions tonight and budget, we just pray for your wisdom and discernment that we will make the wise decisions in behalf of Sumner County. We ask these things in that name.
Amen.
All righty, I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda, long, lengthy as it is, but I do have some, well,
I have some additions
all right,
before we do that.
you go ahead and then I'll.
One is just what passed out. I know this is what passed out of legislative as far as the
Yeah.
discussion on the parking garage, paid parking, everything else. I know that's under old business item A. So I don't, basically, not that we got to discuss that tonight, but I just want to make sure that gets on the agenda for
Yep.
next month because we had some research about moving to paid parking.
Yep, I'll mention it.
So, second item, I was going to see if we could add entertaining, changing our time to 6:30 versus 7. And then if legislative spills over, I mean, we could wait.
I'll put that under, I'll put that under my report, that's
All
fine.
right.
I'm good with that. Anything else on your end? Okay, I've got some to add here and some to remove. So without objection, I would like to remove item E1. I understand from the law, from our finance director, that is item new business E1. New business E1.
6E1.
E1?
Yep, at the very, very bottom. I'd also like to remove, pardon me here, where's this at? I was just looking at it.
D2B.
It was, D, no, it's the.
What's the topic?
It was the finance.
That's,
It was
item,
from finance.
that's under old business item C.
What was you trying to find, and I can tell you?
The financial management thing?
Financial management. item
It's
C.
5C
5.
on the front page.
Oh,
5C
Oh, I
at
see
the
it.
bottom.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Yeah, see, right, I had it marked. I had it marked. Yes, so I'd like to remove that. And then I'd like to add, I'd also like to, there was a car seat item. Where is that?
D2B.
Under new business.
Yeah, remove that guy, D2B, under new business. Yep.
Child safety.
Child
fund
safety,
application?
yep.
Child safety fund.
Remove that guy.
D2B.
Oh,
6D2B.
okay.
Then I'd like to, so we talked about adding the courthouse parking discussion, we're just gonna carry that on under, old business item A. And then, I'd like to add a budget amendment request under new business, so this would be, new business item F. So that's this guy right there, that's, actually, no, this is gonna be under, well, actually, we can make it under,
Put
this is
it,
budget, let's put it under A.
could put it under 6C5,
Yes.
6C5 and put in finance appropriation transfers.
65,
Yeah.
or would it be under 6A?
Appropriations.
We can do it under 65, that's fine. Okay. Budget
What
amendment
is it?
6, budget amendment, it's this guy right here,
The one I passed out.
So what are we adding?
this guy.
What's it called?
The EMA thing that I passed out.
EMA?
Yeah.
Swift boats.
Oh, the boats.
So there's that one, and then the last one is, budget amendment, sorry, I grabbed this one earlier, budget amendment 6, this is under, 6A, this would be 6A5, and this is budget amendment numbers, request number 6 for the schools. So, lots of changes. Okay, subject to those changes, I would entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Recognition of the public. We have Miss Joanna Daniels.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. I'm here representing the library board tonight, and I see that the tech grant is on there, and I think 4 of our libraries are here. I just want you to know that I'm also on the budget committee if you have any questions, and then also we are making sure that we are all because that impacts the tech grant, so just wanted to make sure you guys know that. And then also, there's trustees meetings coming up in September. We make sure to get as many trustees there as possible because that also influences how much money our libraries get. So we just wanted to know that we are here to support our library directors and doing everything possible to make sure that our library directors are getting the funds they need. So, thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Charlene Allmiller.
Gonna go through a bunch of things at once. I'm Charlene Allmiller, 143 Roland Circle, Innisfil, Tennessee, 37075. As far as a parking garage, somebody mentioned in legislative that the state pays for parking, but every state employee actually has access to free parking. They get a parking permit. It just may not be as close as they want. So they sometimes pay for parking that's closer. And then it comes out of their salaries as pre-tax income things. So, and then also the tax delinquent resolution. I do believe there's a 10-year statute of limitations that if the property isn't sold, then you do not get to collect the taxes on it. So I think there were some things that were mentioned in the last committee meeting that were inaccurate and wrong. But you might want to take the time to look into that before you pass a resolution. As far as some of the other items for Millersville, last month I saw that there was a request to increase the budget from 300,000, or budget amendment request from 300,000 to 521,000 with zero backup or anything, and that was going to pass right through. So I'm glad to see that that was carried over to this month. Thank you very much for that. And I do see a lot more support on it. One thing that's not mentioned in there that was inaccurate from the interim city manager's discussion from before is that when the city of Millersville passed it in May of 2023, they included in the budget for the funds, the matching funds for that. So I'm fine with our county using ARPA grants to supplant that matching funds, but their matching funds and their projects went into September 2026. So we need to make sure that the date and timeline of when they would be able to fulfill that TDEC grant matches the ARPA grant timeline that we need. And then also there are just some administrative issues going on in Millersville that I'm just concerned that they won't be able to fulfill their ability on the TDEC grant to complete that by the time that we would need to spend the ARPA funds. And I just don't want the ARPA funds to go to waste. The other thing that I'd like to point out is that the item B, $253,760, which is just an estimate for the update to the volunteer fire department for the Millersville fire department associated with the EMS living space. This just seems really coincidental that it's coming right at a time whenever the fire chief out there also wants to live in space. And so I would just want to make sure that if we are using county funds to update any facilities, that whether they're city or in the county or whatever, that it is going to be dedicated to the EMS personnel and it's not going to be shared with city fire. I mean, I've heard this commission argue that cities should be paying for all the facilities for EMS because we are the ones benefiting from the service. I mean, Hendersonville has been blasted time after time about their fire departments and the county commission has often just walked away from anything that they're going to build there. I would like to know how many times the county has funded updates to accommodate EMS, and I'm totally fine with it, but I do want to make sure that it's for EMS and this isn't just to like basically have the county funding Millersville when per capita the rest of the cities also need to be sharing in those funds as well. If we're going to start updating fire departments, let's just do it. Let's start saving some Hendersonville city taxes for it too, okay? We're going to have to be even if we're going to do it. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Alrighty, seeing no other folks in queue here, we'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes for both April 28th and April 29th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Alrighty. Just my report here, the only item I have is the one that Mr. Mansfield mentioned, which I'm happy to address. Change to 6:30. I'm fine with it. I'd entertain a motion.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Alrighty, we're at 6:30. I spoke with our county mayor earlier, and Mr. Isbell is not gonna be able to make it today, so he has no report. Mr. Long.
Item number, on page number 8, is just the financial statement memo saying that the county's financial statements will be available the night of county commission. Any county commissioner wants a hard copy, we can print them, but we don't print them unless you need them because the prints are rather expensive. Item number 2, if you remember at the budget meeting, I actually, and I passed it out, a public sector survey, and if you look on page number 10, is the email that was attached to the public sector survey, which was actually, there were some questions about it. This is the group that actually, page number 10. This is the group that actually did the survey, and it kind of talks about it in some brevity. But on the other side, on page number 9, they actually gave us a quote of what it would take to update our existing salary survey if you want something more specific. Because there was a lot of questions, because a lot of the positions weren't there. Kind of my discussion with them, what I think what you're interested in is more is something like the survey where it shows the top end, the bottom end, and the midpoint. I think so. And the cost would be about $13,000, and that would be for them recommending EMS and sheriff's salaries if that.
Would you like a motion to discuss?
I would like, I just have one question.
Okay,
I'd like a motion.
Motion to discuss.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Go ahead.
The one thing that you had asked for is when it would be done.
She told me it could be done before July 31st, and if we start now, enough to accommodate your deadlines.
Okay, so we'd need $13,000 and it would be done by the end of
Yeah, if you
July.
want them, we'll start pulling, we'll get a PO after commission's meeting, and if you approve it, and Pat waives the second reading, and we'll go and start sending their data.
Okay.
Could it be earlier? I mean, is it possible they might finish earlier?
The way she reads, she says, we can get started as soon as you're ready, and somewhere she said we can accommodate your time frame, because I told her it'd be earlier. And I will get if you approve it tonight, I will email her tomorrow and get Ms. Allison to remind me, and I'll email her tomorrow to see if she can give us a hard date. Tell her we'd like to have it done, July 15th, if possible. Which is,
I just have one other, can we start it tonight before it goes to commission? We couldn't start it till next Monday, right? If the full commission.
it would have to start with the full commission.
Okay, that's it, I just want.
I don't have enough funds in my budget probably
Go
to
ahead.
find it.
Just real quick, so this would be more specific to any positions that weren't presented to us previous at the workshop?
You had a salary survey earlier. Any unique position was surveyed, but it's been a couple of years back and there's been some positions added and changes. This would be specific to Sumner County.
Now, that one that we had the other day, well, I'd say the other day, was that from 2022? Was that a study?
It was, if you look here on the back, it says it's based on the fourth quarter in 2023, which would be
So
through
that was
the,
2023 that we
through the
got from Burris.
fourth coming through the end of December. So you're relatively
Close.
You're very
close. Yeah, we kept saying we're a year off because my recollections, I thought she meant fiscal year, but she's actually says fourth quarter.
So is there a motion to appropriate something here or direct the law, or do we want to just?
Well, I think we're still discussing.
I'm gonna, let me go ahead, I'll get my own cue here. There's no such thing as a perfect salary survey,
I know.
and if we do this, it'll have its own kind of flaws and its own holes. My hope is that this year, we're making pretty considerable changes based on market. So, it's my hope that after this year, we'll be able to adjust based on just COLA moving forward, and with the exception of some spot checking around here and there. This was the plan this year was to make these market-based adjustments, and the idea isn't that we have to make huge market adjustments every single year. I think I'm gonna be against this just because I don't think that we're not gonna get a perfect result out of it. I don't think it will meaningfully impact kind of what we plan on doing. I mean, right now we've got a kind of a starting point and we're having good negotiations back and forth with the department heads, and I think that's probably about as good as we're gonna get. Go ahead.
I agree with you, and I believe I will be against this because it seems to me that Mr. Long's team has done an excellent job of making comparisons. And I think you're right, there's no perfect cost study. And we can spend $13,000 and wait the time it takes to get it. I don't know that it'll get us any closer to where we're trying to go than it would, but that's just my
And
opinion.
well, go ahead, Ms. Miller.
I was just gonna say, I mean, if we have up to, you said the fourth quarter of 2023, I mean,
Months ago.
what's gonna be much different? I'm not for
It's
wasting.
not specific to Sumner County, so that's why we can't find that's what I was saying, the only
But
thing.
we're comparing to other counties anyways,
Well,
so.
no, if you're trying to find a specific position like we were at the meeting, you had the trouble for comparisons because they're quite a bit different. They took a generality of a lot of positions. It would be more specific. But let me be clear, if anybody's against it, then it was gonna require to waive the second reading to meet the time frame, so it's kind of a dead point anyway.
Yeah. Ms. Boyd?
So I guess I'm just going in the other direction. I would like this because we have some salaries out there that I felt really uncomfortable that we had department heads. We had one and we can say we negotiated, but they left the room. But when they came and asked for a $37,000 raise for their employee because they felt that that was market, for $13,000, I got people asking for $37,000, 2 of those. I got people asking for $20,000 raises, and when we ask why, and they say, well, that's market, that's where we should be. And some of those positions are not on the survey that we saw. So we got big dollars out there, and either this table's wrong or that department's wrong, and I'm not in a position, I don't have the skill set, I don't know.
And I can forward you the 22 survey, but it's gonna be a couple years old. It will be closer match, but when I talked to the salary survey, they said there have been a lot of salaries that's moved considerable in Middle Tennessee. They said it's calmed down now, but since we did our survey in 22, there's been a lot of changes.
Mr. Brown?
Is this survey going to be used for this budget or next year's budget?
It would be this one if you got it by July 15th. You can go by and spot those positions.
So we would have to renegotiate on
Yeah.
everything we went through.
Or we find out we were right or wrong.
Yeah, I know.
So basically what it's gonna do, is you're gonna have the bottom, mid, and top. So you're gonna look and see, a fully trained employee should be somewhere toward the mid, a long-term employee maybe toward the top. Your entry level should be begin above the entry. That's what you're looking at.
I gotta say, that timing, we're gonna get through with this in May, and then people are gonna, the department heads will get a chance to look at it, and, I'm sure there will be some, one last bit of adjustment, but then we wait till July and do all this again, I feel like it just caused more problems. Mr. Long,
Can
Mr.
I
Brown?
give you a possibility that may take some of the pressure off? Give you time to think, put it back under old business, to give you time to think about it. Go ahead and work this year's budget, then next year you can compare the ones to see if you miss them. If they're too high, then you could decrease their cost of living. If they're above max, if they're within range, you leave them
That
alone.
makes
If you
sense.
find 1, 2, 3 below range, then you bring them up next year. Early in the fiscal year, if you get pretty close, you could actually adjust at the beginning of next year.
Mr. Brown?
That was going to be, let's just front load this, have it ready for, say, February, March of next year, and then we'll have the parameters in which we look at all these.
Or you could bring back in August.
So do we have, is there a motion here?
Well-
Go ahead.
I would make a motion that we include the $12,000 in the commissioner budget, and we budget for it. If we're gonna, I'm good if we're gonna, to move it to February, but I want a budget for it. That would seem proper.
13
Okay, is that your,
That would
That's
be
your
my
motion.
motion, is we
Is there-
add it to the commission
Looking at
budget.
Making adjustments in the middle of the fiscal year if we're wrong.
we did, that's totally separate discussion. That's what Mr. Long said, but we don't have to do that.
You could increase them, but decreasing would be significantly more difficult.
Because I just want to make sure I'm understanding this right. What would be your recommendation tonight? Should we go ahead and implement this and just get it, just work overtime basically to get it right? Or do we just go by what we're doing right now?
You're pretty far down in the budget and you're going pretty well. What I would say right now is if you got a couple of choices. Number one, put it under old business or in the budget and do it July, August, or September. After you're done with the budget, go back and do a back review. Number two, go ahead and retain them, but have it for that back review. But if you got specific positions that you're concerned about, ask them to only look at those, like the 3 or 4 she mentioned, or some of the department heads, which was the major concerns.
But we can
There's
make
still 3 ways to
adjustments
do
though,
it.
right? We could.
You can adjust up, but I think it's going to be hard pressed to adjust down, but you could adjust through the cost of living in the future. So say you overshot somebody, you may not give them a cost
So
of
I'm
living
gonna,
next year.
I'm just gonna make a motion to put this to old business.
She made a motion. Did you
Well,
get a second?
I'll amend it. Oh, did you get a second?
I didn't ask for one, or you didn't ask.
Is there a
Did you
second?
second that?
My
We-
motion, if I could
Yeah,
restate, my
restate it.
motion is that we add a budget item for $12,000 to the commission's budget.
There's a
To
I
motion.
think it
cover
was
this.
13.
13 if you want.
We have a
Oh,
motion and a
13 to
second.
cover it, I'm sorry.
13,000. Is it second good with the 13,000
Yes.
number? Okay, I'm gonna make an amendment to it, and that is just to move to old business. No movement of funds or budgeting right now, just move it to old business until after July. That's my motion.
Does that still get it on our budget on Thursday?
No,
Because I want to add it to the budget,
I just wanna move it to old business. I mean, it's a little different.
but we'll lose the budget. My motion is to add it to our budget item.
I know, I mean, I just
But if we
wanna.
move it to old, we don't do that. It totally
It doesn't.
nukes it.
We can, I mean, you can change the budget. I mean, it's $13,000. It almost doesn't matter either way, but mine was just to move to old
Point
business.
of order, well, that's, I guess, can we restate the question? You've got a motion.
Yes.
Please state your motion.
My motion is to add an appropriation for $13,000 to our commissioner budget to cover these costs.
For FY
For
25.
when? Timing? What's your timing?
Mr. Brown was wanting February.
February, March
Mr.
would be better.
Mr. Long's recommending August.
It'd be FY 25. no matter
What's,
how you do
what's,
it.
just pick.
I'm going fourth quarter.
Okay.
August, November.
Just a point of clarification. I guess I don't understand how it's different than putting it in our old business.
That's.
I don't understand.
So Miss Boyd is saying she wants to, functionally, it's not much different. She just wants to earmark the $13,000. I'm saying I don't want to do anything. Let's just put it to old business. That's simpler. We can earmark $13,000. We can earmark later if we need. So that's my motion. It has not gotten a second. Which is the
Gotcha,
amendment.
okay.
So,
I'll second.
all right, we have a motion and a second on the amendment. Any discussion on the amendment?
One quick question for
Go ahead.
Mr. Long, and I
Go ahead.
apologize, I just thought of this, and maybe you said it and I just missed it. What we've done right now with the budget, with the salary studies and the cost of living, that whole thing, do you feel, I don't know if you can answer this or not, but do you feel confident that we're close enough to the dollar amount for these employees? Like, are we way behind the 8 ball on some employees, or are we pretty, do you feel like we're pretty close?
I think you're moving closer to market and some you
market.
may have even overshot because we can't really tell. That's what you're gonna have to have is specific to this, but the changes you're making a good faith effort to compare them to the market data that we did get from Burris and Associates.
I just don't want, the reason why I'm asking, I don't want to shortchange an employee somewhere, so I just want to make sure we have the opportunity to correct that with what we're proposing.
You get a new
tonight.
number and it can go up or down.
Okay.
That's the.
No, I just want to make
that's the-
sure, all right.
You're
that's-
probably
that's
gonna
the
hit the
thing.
range with most of these. So you're gonna have a minimum, a midpoint, which is where a fully trained employee should hit, and then a maximum they shouldn't really go past. You're probably gonna have them all over the place. Your hopes is that none of them go below the minimum or excessively above the max. And right now, we don't think there's any, but there's no way to tell.
But we can fix it.
On those, where there wasn't a specific point of comparison, which were few, but they were there. Just want to be clear, the majority of them, they were at like versus like.
I'd say if you
Any-
do it next year, you could earmark money and deal with it.
Any other questions on this one?
So your amendment to her motion is just to put the old business.
Just to put it to old
Her
business.
motion is just to appropriate the money now
Right.
to be used next calendar year.
She wanted to appropriate in 25
Correct.
budget, is what she's saying. I
Correct.
believe.
There's no difference in terms of like action taken. It's just that one appropriates the money, one does not.
One appropriates the money now for.
Correct.
Use months from now.
Correct.
I would be earmarking it,
Mine's
and
just
we'd be
like-
just kicking it down the road a
I'm
bit
just kicking it
later.
down the road.
You just want us to note it for the 16th to discuss it.
Well, I
Yes.
mean,
That'd
we
be the
got
easiest way.
motions on the board
Yeah,
here,
we've
so
already
let's go ahead
discussed
and, any others on this? All in favor of the amendment, I'll restate it, which was just to move this to old business, which is basically what you just said, we'll just move it to old business.
Shouldn't we vote on
All in favor of this? Aye. All right, 1, 2, all opposed?
No.
No.
Okay, so now we're on the main, all in favor of earmarking this?
Aye.
All right.
All opposed? No. Okay, motion fails.
What, who,
Uh,
you said no on the first one?
No.
No on the first.
No, the no's carried on the first one. The only yeses on the.
But I need to know who it was.
The only yeses on the amendment were these three.
Okay.
Us three.
Okay.
And then the only no's on the main were Schoaf and Miller.
Okay, gotcha.
And
That may-
Oh,
that may-
Inchman.
yeah.
Okay, so they were
Okay.
exactly inverse.
Thank you.
They were exactly inverse. All right, I didn't hear you.
It's okay.
So it passed, right?
It passed.
Yeah.
It passed.
Earmark.
But it'll need a
Okay.
second read, so we're gonna do it on the 16th.
So we'll now earmark $13,000 toward
Can
the
we-
commission.
It needs a second.
Well,
Can we do a second?
Well, it'll have to be in the 25 budget anyway. so-
Yeah, it doesn't matter, I mean.
So we'll just come bring that.
Yeah.
So we'll put it on the 16th. We'll note it for the 16th.
Okay, transfers. Go ahead, Mr. Long.
The first
I
one-
would,
Move to group and approve.
we have a motion to group and approve. Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Who'd like to?
We're
go?
on item D.
We're on,
Item C1.
C1, all, are you saying all of them?
1 and 2.
What about, I just want to look at 2.
There's C1,
again.
is it just C1 or C1 and 2?
Can I look at 2
C1
again?
and
You, I think it would be easier if you just do C1.
2. C1.
Okay,
I'm good
and
with
so
that.
we have C1, the second is good with C1. Any discussion on C1? These are all transfers, nothing net new, just want to say that for the record, correct, Mr. Long?
That's every one of them.
All right.
Including 2.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All righty. I'd entertain a motion on the interbudgetary, it's item C2.
Can I have a discussion?
Motion to discuss,
Second.
motion to second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, Ms. Boyd, go ahead.
I'm always leery. It's the end of the year, it's the end of the budget. Are we moving money around just so we can spend money in one place or in another, or we
This
don't
is-
know, or it's just coming to us
This
like
is about usual, and there's certain departments that move more than others, but I don't know if it's because they need it or because they
It's the
wait
end of
off
the
to
year?
buy, or they wait off to buy things they need to make sure they got money. Didn't see anything that just really stood out. A few things I did have questions about, I did call the departments if I had a question about them. And one of them is I had Tahoe insurance.
I actually have one.
I have several.
I have one, I'm glad you did this. So, the ECC replaced 18 dispatch chairs for $33,000?
Yes, that one caught my
They
eye.
replaced all their chairs.
How much is that
For
per chair?
$33,000?
There's those big chairs that go with those workstations.
Got them
$2,000
$40,000
a chair?
for the courthouse.
Wait, how much?
$2,000 a chair.
Yeah, there's a big expensive good one for work areas.
I want
So-
one.
And we can,
Right here.
oh, they're here.
We have, somebody from ECC, somebody from ECC.
Oh, good.
Oh, hey, so, motion to suspend the rules, second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We gotta ask, 13,000 for, I mean, this is one of these things that.
33.
33,000 for, I mean, maybe it's legit.
Yeah, these are chairs that are meant for 24/7 operations, which they're sat in for that amount of time every day. The current chairs that we have now are 7 years old and falling apart. Any chair that you get for a dispatch center is going to be about the same. The chairs that we purchased are also rated for up to 550 pounds, which are necessary for some of our staff. So.
It was also purchased under the GSA contract. So we actually got a hefty discount. They're usually around $6,000 a chair. We got it for, I want to say it was around
I
$1,600.
need to get in the chair making business.
Yeah, ball bearings, swivels.
They were
This-
quite expensive last time, 7 years ago, too. I
Yes.
remember.
Out
They
of
were
gold?
worth it.
They were more expensive 7 years ago, and they're actually falling apart from 7 years, so they're hoping they'll last that
Can I,
long.
can I ask,
Ms. Boyd, go
what
ahead.
is your staff? Is it 18, are we replacing the whole lineup of chairs?
Our
Is it-
center is made up of 18 consoles.
Okay, so we're
So-
replacing all of them with
Yes,
this.
ma'am, for the whole center.
But as they were saying last time, they were this expensive, and they already fell apart.
Yeah.
And these actually have a better warranty. They have a 6-year warranty and it covers the entire chair, whereas Ironworks only had a 5-year warranty and only covered
It's like
mechanics.
$1,800.
So this covers everything.
You got it.
Go ahead.
Just quickly, so the chairs at my work cost about $1,500 a piece. I thought that was ridiculous, but I know that chairs are getting more expensive for the long-term usage ones, and so that's not where I'm going with this, but for some of them to be rated at 550 pounds, we have those at work too that are higher ratings than others, but we only have a small percentage of those chairs for whoever needs them. That's not the norm because they do cost more. We wouldn't buy a whole office full of the highest rated chair when the majority of people don't need the highest rated chair. So that may be something we could look into for saving money, at least explore.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. I mean, I don't know. This is one of these things that maybe I'm mistaken. I would not have thought to spend $1,600, $1,700 on the chair, but, okay. Any other discussion on this one? Oh, no, go ahead.
No, I don't, not on this one.
We're gonna bring us back into the rules here. Any others that we wanna call out here?
Yes.
Go ahead, Mr. Klein.
County buildings, we have $16,500 in elevator repairs.
The elevator over here.
Yes.
They caught on fire.
It's out.
Oh, it's the one right here, yeah.
Well, it's in three different,
It ended up coming in as the first quote. They worked on it. They found problems. The second quote, they had to transfer several times.
oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's just the elevator. I think they said first the motor burned up, and I think they found some other issues after they got into it.
Okay.
Yeah,
We
it's on here,
obviously need a
like
better
here,
maintenance
here.
program with our elevators.
I don't think everybody
Uh,
understands that.
Brown Park, $500
We
TDEC
kinda do
permit
it the
fee.
greatest.
Here's the answer. I asked about it.
Yeah, county buildings.
My inquiry was this part of the construction or the reoccurring for the grant or the grant match? And the response back from Ms. Norfleet at the time was, this is a TDEC part or RAPA permit fee for the
But it's
park
within their
ARAP.
budget.
It is not eligible for expense for grant match budget, so we plan to pay it from 101 county buildings for the park location. This was one of the expenses I had expected to have for the project that we originally requested to carry over, but it wasn't carried over, and they said they'd take it out of the
I
original budget.
want to make a note here, and Jessica, Richard, appreciate you for kind of tapping me on it. There's, just like we were discussing in budget, once certain things are approved within a line item, when we were talking about salaries or, something that needs to move, there's not a lot we can actually do here. So they're authorized to do this
Let
already.
me tell you how this works, okay?
Yeah.
To keep POs and everything moving, otherwise the county will come to a screeching halt. Through the purchasing policy, I'm allowed to move within line items.
Correct.
Non-salary line items, the same major category. If I don't think there's going to be a budget member specifically objective vote against it, then I usually transfer those. The policy says I can just transfer, but if I think the committee's going to object, I usually don't do those. And that's why I try to get information, just like the chairs, we've already purchased them because last time they were more expensive, last about 7 years, and they do use all 18 of them. If I think it's a particular issue, I think there's 2 or 3 I'll pull off before a man will come in here, or if you're aware of something's a particular issue and let me know, I will pull them.
Well, the whole thing about the Brown part is there's so much we don't know about it. I thought the school district was going to pay for everything now.
Remember, that's when I was asking earlier, are we moving forward, stopping, let's negotiate? I have not heard, I mean, there's a lot of confusion on this park where it's going right now.
Yeah,
So
and I don't
we've
wanna-
got-
do we need to stop it with the grant there? Because the thing, you've got 3 parts, you've got,
Are you on a particular line item?
Yeah, I'm on.
he's on the very first one.
Oh, okay.
'Cause I'm
like
on
deep
county
into it.
buildings.
Okay,
Okay.
The $500, the Brown Park, TDEC, ARAP permit fee.
okay.
My understanding, the one thing originally started, there was the $500,000 from the trust.
Right,
There's $100,000 from the county, and then there's another 100 to do a study a while back.
right.
Then there was, 125 from the county. And then there's $625,000 worth of grants, makes 1.3 million. The other day, my understanding, there was gonna be some negotiating between the mayor and everybody, but the project wasn't going to be stopped, was my understanding. Are we stopping the project?
This is all news to me, David. So, what I have a problem with is funding's something that we don't even know what the rules of the game are. And I know it's just $500.
So what I
So
would
that's why I asked about it.
suggest here, and I don't want to cut off your discussion, but we have a lengthy, and there's nothing we can do to affect these. If we want to potentially change the rules or such that, to put more controls on it, I think that's a different discussion. But right now, these have already been either
I would recommend
appropriated or
sending it back to
paid.
Gen Ops. I'd recommend sending this whole project back to Gen Ops till it's cleared up, because right now, that's the thing. This project is running that way, and I've had questions whether this project's stopping or going, and nobody's clear on it right now.
Yeah, and we should know in Gen Ops.
I mean, yeah, we don't need a motion for it. You guys just take it on.
So right now, what I can do, and it's supposed
Add it.
and there's grants involved, so it may throw everything to a screeching halt, and you may see her screaming at the grant's not gonna have, but what I'll do, and if you can make a note, I'll form Miss Browning, and when they request transfers, to reject all transfers to the Brown Park until it's dealt with Gen Ops at this point.
Yeah.
I can completely stop the transfers. I can't stop them if they're in the right line item at this
Right.
point, but I can stop transfers.
Mr. Mansfield?
Just clarify what David said. I mean, problem is when the commission is not given information, one, or they're giving partial, two, or they're just giving inaccurate information. All these things have happened on this project. And that's definitely, I guess, you see the confusion and the problem here. And so that's when you don't communicate and you hide things, or you just communicate inaccurately.
Remember, there was discussion on the commission floor that no money was being spent, so the following month I brought back to this committee that money was being spent. And my understanding at that point, it was still moving forward, but I don't know if we're stopping it now, or I'm at a loss where we're at on it. So if we need to stop it, I can stop transfers. And probably the best thing is the Gen Ops chairman to request the mayor send it back to Gen Ops, because it is a county property.
I would like to do that because I think there's a lot of legal questions with it too still.
Second.
Oh, yeah, do we even need a vote on it? I mean, I think you just do it.
He just emails them and I stop
Yeah, I
doing
think
transfers.
I think we just do it.
If I'm aware there's an objection, I won't do a transfer, so
So-
really nothing has to be done. I just can't undo this.
Right. Anyway, any other discussion on
It's used to be about a
interbudgetary?
page, maybe 2
I do-
pages.
I have
No,
a-
it's end of budget. It's end of the year.
I just have a couple of comments. First a
Okay.
comment and then a question. Under description, we get the increase side. And that leads me back to my first question is, how do I know it's not an end of the year adjustment just so we can spend up the budget? Can we have both sides of the description in the future?
Yeah, we can enter it, but that's what I'm saying. The reason
Is
we
that
don't
just-
is because the amount of staff time it takes to put all
To
this into
do?
Excel, yeah, just like a lot of the other stuff. We can do it, but also have to put a staff member on it.
I don't wanna take up a lot of time. I can look up the
This one
codes
takes quite a
myself.
while, but,
Yeah. It's
we
usually
can do
not
it.
this huge.
Yeah, it's-
And it's just the end of the year that I
Yeah.
feel I
It's
need,
June.
yeah, it just feels.
And I can probably tell you what some of those are if you have a question about some of where they're coming
Well,
from,
and then,
most
so
of them.
I understand the staffing constraints. It leads me to having to look up the object codes, but maybe that would be good for me.
Well, I can, if you have questions about particular ones right now that aren't labeled, I probably know what they are, or I can find out real quick.
I wanted to know, is this a duplicate here, Henderson Library, 1600 and 1600?
I asked and I was told no. I seen that one too.
There's another one also.
There's two of them back through there, I seen, 2 or 3.
The Brown T-Deck, it's on page 31, and it's down page, I mean, it's just $500.
One's the match, and one's the ground. I think that's what we're looking at.
Well, it says permit fee.
$500.
$500 each time.
Right, because I think it's the total, that's what I asked too.
All right, any other discussions on these?
Over here.
Oh, go ahead, Mr. Klein.
Bottom of page 31, Sheriff's Office, decrease $5,625.25 to equipment to rework existing live scan stations of $22,311. That doesn't add up.
Where are you looking
It's
at?
these other,
It's the other
it's all netting out.
Yeah, there's multiple
all
lines.
net.
They're not a one-to-one.
It's all in different lines right here.
It's not a one-to-one, it'll be all the sheriff stuff,
Yeah.
both sides will be the same.
So what is a live scan station? Do you know? have
I
any-
believe it's the fingerprint machine, and I would have to ask him, but as far as I can remember, I think it's the fingerprint machine, the fingerprint thing. I can ask him tomorrow.
Yeah.
I believe it's for fingerprints, and is it through the drug fund? What page did you see that on, David?
It's 31.
It's on 31, bottom of 31, fourth to the bottom line.
Yeah, it is.
I will verify that, but I believe that's for the fingerprints.
Thanks, all right.
You can make it now.
Any other discussion on
I
these?
know that now.
Okay, I don't think we need a vote on this. I mean, I think we do typically vote to approve these, just to
You
have it in the
usually
minutes.
approve them
All right,
after the fact.
I'd entertain a motion to approve, subject to all the commentary that we just had.
Motion?
Motion, second, all in favor?
Aye.
All righty. Moving on to old business. All right, moving along here. City of Gallatin, item A here. So this is, I think we would like to get an update on the $907,000 outstanding, and also consider a commentary from legislative on moving this, just taking control of this property and the operation of it entirely. Mr. Mansfield?
Well, I was going to say, David, for legislative, what happened was the question of basically just taking this on and the county being the sole owner of this garage and then operating it as a paid parking garage. Looking into, I wish we asked Mr. Sitt to look in to make sure, like, did we even own this property? Like, we don't, I mean,
So
the county owns it.
here's what I'd like to do, and I don't think we need to have I don't think we need to have a huge discussion on it, because I don't think we're ready yet. But here's what I think we'd like to do, just build out a potential P&L on, where we make the assumption that we can take sole owner operator of that property, what the upfront cost is gonna be, and then build out a P&L on a go-forward basis for it and bring that out as a business case for this committee. And then there would be a second ask, which is just to understand what the current implications of the deed is. So those are the two things.
Question, the spaces that were Gallatin for the 2.4 million, they were told they were keeping, are they gonna keep those, or are we gonna give that money back? And
We would be
do it?
giving that money, in this proposal, we would give that money
Give
back.
it back and charge them for
And,
costs?
and we would take total owner-operator role on this. That's the proposal.
So basically, I probably need to get.
Let me get we're just bringing this up. I'll entertain a motion for discussion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Go ahead, Mr.
So
Clark.
you're proposing, really quickly, we pay them back, then we put one of the gates down with the the machines where you actually do the pays in there, so you
Yeah.
get an RFQ out to figure
Yeah,
out what it
or
would
even just
cost
the one
to
where you drive
retrofit the
in,
building.
even where you do the one where you just drive in and out, right? Like if you do like the WeGo or.
You
not
drive
WeGo.
in and you got
If
a
you got the
ticket to
little
go
app.
back out, yeah.
Because if you do that, you could also, give some, you could give somebody who are county employees or something like that, basically where they get a zero.
So you want the
You
drop
have some
fence,
control on
okay.
it.
You want the drop fence in the app.
Yeah.
David, there's a lot of things that Eric and Steve are gonna have to look for. We don't have, or I don't know of any contracts with Christian Tower. Is it Christian Tower across the street?
I think it is.
They have 35 spaces that are given to them, but I don't know if there's any documentation to that.
I haven't seen it, but it doesn't mean.
Who is going to be on, or who is on the title of land and the property now? And who is it, is the city of Gallatin, are we gonna co-own it?
He said you should.
We have it on our assets and we pay the payment too. We can pull it upstairs, there's a deed.
Yeah.
I've got a list of stuff down as well,
So-
As far as I can recall,
Yeah.
no. But
Yeah, I
have
was just
to
trying to
look.
update him.
Mr.
on it.
Long, do you, sorry, I'm not trying,
No,
I'm
go
just
ahead.
trying to move us along
I'm
here.
done.
Do you
I've
have-
got it. I got
do
what
you
you
have
want.
you got that? I don't think we need to vote on it. You've got our directive. We're gonna keep this on old business.
Yep.
We just need to know what the, total sunk costs are gonna be, and then P&L going forward, and then find out who owns, any complications with the deed.
Right.
All righty, Franklin Street Stormwater, we approved this on the last one. I'd entertain a motion, for discussion or approval.
It's already been approved, but Mr. Klein wanted to pull back. He had a concern for something that was going on down there. He's telling us.
So moved for discussion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Mr. Klein, go ahead.
Okay, well, there actually are two issues. The $300,000 was approved for the storm drain alone. And so that's going to bid according to the mayor. We're having the documents drawn up for, I think it was a $10,000 bill for that. But we fully expect to save a whole lot more than we're gonna spend. That project will probably be under $150,000 versus the $500,000 it was going to be. But we do have the $400,000 that was allotted for putting the services underground, electrical services underground. We don't have any contracts. Initially, there were power poles that were moved to the opposite sides of the street at both the county courthouse and at the parking structure. All that work amounts to about $252,000. But we're totally, and I have no reason not to trust Gallatin Electric, but there were no contracts apparently ever created. I've got an email back from their attorney, and he said, well, this was all just done word of mouth. That's the way it's done here. And I find that incredible that we would have two buildings built, agree to have power lines moved on the other side, and there's no documentation at all. So that's what I'm trying to find. I've talked to our attorney about that. He says, it is what it is, and that I may be opening a Pandora's box, but I'm gonna try to open it anyway, just to see.
No, you will, Mr.
Well, we gotta start doing things right here in this county.
Problem you're gonna run into is the services, we've got to have the services, so they kinda got us over a barrel.
Well, I realize that. What I'm trying to make sure is that the work that was done out on Franklin and on Smith Street is equitable
Right.
to the work we have to do to put those services underground. If indeed that was our responsibility to pay for it, and it's their desire to put those services underground, and they cost about the same, that's a good swap, because we could have done that when Turner put the vault in and the transformer on the vault. We could have just gone ahead and done the whole thing, and probably should have. But this has been so screwed up.
My understanding is they will not put the utility into the building until we do this, so they're kind of holding.
I think they've already given us.
Oh, have they now?
Take
They've got that
power.
dealt with, okay.
Is that not right, Eric?
That's correct.
So,
But will
do
they
we,
give us permit
do
if
we
we
have, is there anything you'd like to do or change?
I'm working on it.
All right,
So,
We need to hold the appropriation back.
go ahead, Mr. Mansfield.
so who said that? I mean, that this just,
Brandon Meredith is the attorney for Gallatin.
so you have no contract. So this is, project exceeded its scope.
No, this was one of the first things done. In order to even start those buildings, you had to move the power lines. So one of the delays on the parking structure, for instance, was AT&T would not, they just said, we're too busy, it's COVID, we don't have
It
people.
costs us a lot of money.
It cost us
I remember
a ton of money. So because AT&T couldn't move, neither could Gallatin Electric. But what they ended up doing on Franklin Street was moving 5 poles and putting in those new metal ones. And what they did down on Smith Street was move 2 poles, and then all of the ancillary stuff that has to happen to give the buildings power.
But you see, there's a portion where this wasn't in any agreement. It's just kind of like, hey, you kind of owe us this. We kind of did this for you, but nobody knows about it, and you needed to pay us money for this because nobody knew about it.
Well,
And I mean, that's just, I'm having a hard time with that. Like, this is seriously?
It's not that clear. You
That's even worse.
can't wrap this up into one pretty package and tell one straight story on this. There's emails that went back and forth. There were unanswered emails that didn't get returned, so work was done on assumptions they agreed with the emails. I cannot find a contract that existed prior. The only point I wanted to make is, because I've talked with Mr. Klein at length about this, is to understand that it probably wasn't done the way it needed to be done in the past. What we do today and in the future obviously needs to change, and I don't want to lose sight of what we're trying to accomplish for chasing everything that was done wrong in the past. That's my only point from a legal standpoint.
So I'm just gonna, and again, I get the discussion.
I'm just trying to exhaust every opportunity to
Is there
find
any-
these documents.
Do we want to put a hold on this funding? Is there anything we want to do?
I don't think that makes any sense.
All right.
Personally, I don't. I just,
They will disconnect power.
Yeah,
immediately.
so-
Once
and then
once
we
they
would-
realize we've stopped moving
Right,
towards
and
this
then we
direction.
once again bear the additional risk of delays.
right.
We would be on the hook for it.
Not
So-
just delays, but the encumbrance of the
Correct.
generator again.
Correct.
Yeah,
correct.
and I plan
And
on.
additional fees from the contracting services to stay on the project. I'm just laying this out here, and we can, I've said it a lot of times, none of us voted for these projects. None of us had anything to do with these contracts or lack of contracts. But sometimes you just kind of inherit a sandwich,
mess.
and it is what it is, and
Yeah.
that's kind of, I think, where we are. So unless, and I understand we're trying to put this out for the public, I get it, that's fine, but is there anything we can do here?
No,
Okay.
I'm just bird dogging these documents.
Got it.
If they're not there, if they don't exist, they don't exist. But we've got invoices for $252,000 and no contracts.
Yeah, I get it.
That legitimize those invoices, so.
Any others on this one? All right, I don't know, we've already voted on this, Mr. Warren. I think.
Nothing needs to be
I don't know that we
done.
need
I
to
brought
do
it back if
anything.
you wanted to kill the appropriation, otherwise it's going forward.
All right, so I don't know that we need to vote on it. We've removed item.
I want to be clear, are we dropping this?
Yes, we can drop that. We can remove that going forward. Mr. Klein, unless something changes,
Unless
if something
something
changes,
changes.
by all means, bring it back up.
Okay.
Until then, this is gonna be removed. Item 5C is removed. Item 5D, 5D, there are 3 pieces under it. The first one, D1, is the sewer project for $1.75 million, needs a second reading. I'd entertain a motion or a motion to approve or a motion to discuss.
Can I ask
Discuss.
the question?
Go ahead. Motion to discuss, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Mr.
Before
Wine?
you discuss these three items, because we're going to be May, June, if these contracts aren't gonna be closed in May and June, we're gonna have to carry it over to the budget again anyway. Do you just wanna move it to the 16th and deal with it in the 25 budget?
That,
Because basically, for us to carry that budget over, there's only one thing, the committee and the commission is going to come and re-carry the money,
Yeah.
or you're gonna have to assign.
you know what, I like
contract
that,
by the
I
end of
like
June.
that idea because we're gonna get to look at, I think,
You're gonna have to
we
sign
get-
some contract.
the reason I like that idea is that we're gonna get to look at this in addition to like what we're gonna be doing for capital expenditure anyway.
So we move
So let's
D
just, I would just like to, I'd just like
1, 2,
to.
and 3 to
Can I-
the 16th.
Move the 25 budget.
Go ahead, I'll get you.
Can I just add to that? I know the 16th, we're right on top of it. But the one item I wanted to discuss is, I represent Gallatin. Did anybody ask Gallatin if they got sewer problems? I mean, I wasn't here to say, you know, my district, but this is Hendersonville and Millersville. My district's got money problems too.
This, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
with the amount of money they have cost us on this building, I'm not gonna ask them anything.
I know, but I'm paying my utility bills in Gallatin, and I, the resident, had nothing to do with the parking structure. And if my rates are gonna be, I just wanna say, let's be fair and ask.
I don't blame any, I don't.
And I'll tell you, Mr. Wynn's gonna be bringing a request from White House also.
So, let's.
I just
I
wanna put
like-
it out there.
I
I've
like
talked to
the
White House,
idea.
it's coming.
I like the idea of putting this over to, I mean, we've got it in here. Let's consider it with budget, because it'll be basically stacked up with capital, and we can learn what we need to spend using capital, and then we can, if it needs to be changed, we can change it.
I only bring it up because I don't know
I
if you
like
can get a
that.
contract by June 30.
Are you talking about 1, 2, and 3? Because I have a question about 3.
3, I have, it's 501c19.
Okay, I was wondering, no one's asked me any questions about that.
And that's a question. I looked at the documentation they sent. They said in 1972, this became a 501c19. And the statute says 501c6 and 4 is what we can donate to, so that'll be something Eric will need
So
to
let's
research.
put that there, and then we can have the
16.
answer to it for the next budget. We just gotta give you a couple things.
That's all I need to
They're all
know,
attached
was
to
if
the
it
agenda.
needed
So,
any. Okay.
just to be, so we're clear here, we can say that we disposed of it. I would entertain a motion to consider this as part, under the workshop section,
moved.
under capital.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, and that was for D.
Now, I have a question.
We've already disposed of it. We
Well,
already disposed of it. Sorry, I'm just trying to move us.
Well, I'll make the answer. I'll be asking that question Thursday.
Ask it on Thursday.
It may delay Millersville.
That's okay.
But-
We can deal with it, we can manage it on Thursday.
Okay.
All right, let's do this. 5-minute break. We're moving into new business. 5-minute break. I've got to go to the restroom. All right.
Sissy.
You need to go.
Sissy.
I'd like to appropriate some money for coffee
drank
for
a lot of
budget
tea.
meetings. And a little, can we just, you know?
That was a good idea.